I have been working on getting the shopping cart functionality working, and it took some time. It took a lot of tweaking, but nonetheless, I do have it working. Now, it's not 100% working at the moment, but in the long run, it will be doing the same functionality that a typical shopping cart will do, and maybe a little bit more. Who knows? My name is Kenny. This is Tech Talk with RHT Services, and this is the continued build out of the Hairlocks website that I've been hired to do for a customer. Now, I started building out the JavaScript functionality to do a shopping cart. I did not know this was possible, but I did find out that it is possible through some research, and I started watching some video tutorials on how to do this yourself. As I was going through those tutorials, I'm like, I don't know if I like the way this is headed. In addition to that, tutorial was like an hour long. And I'm like, really? An hour long just to see what he's going to type? After I kind of thought about it for a moment, I was like, you know what? Let's go over to ChatGPT, put some values in, and see what it says. ChatGPT spit out not only the products, and I will show you what it said here. So it came up with some products here, and this is the criteria that I gave, by the way. I said I need a JavaScript file that can be an online shopping cart. A list of products will be kept in an array. Multiple of the same item can be added to the cart, but only should be listed once in the cart. Products that can be selected will be held in a JavaScript array. Each product will have the following properties associated with it: ID, name, price, description, and image URL. Now, the way this was set up and some of the details in here, like keeping a list of products in the array, was something I saw in a couple of the video tutorials that I was watching before I got maybe a third of the way through them, and was like, there's got to be another way that's much easier. Based upon that particular prompt, ChatGPT created this file, which had the products here at the top, a cart variable, and a number of other things here that you can see as far as getting total price and so forth. And then at the bottom, it gave some examples of how to use this. And it says basic implementation of how to do this cart in JavaScript, of course, modify it as necessary. So I needed some additional products because the customer did state that they wanted about 10 to 12 products in their store, or at least that's what they'll be having initially. Then there were some other things here that I wanted to include. Each product should have a buy now button. And what I wanted to do is to have one place where all of the products could be listed. So whether that be in the configuration or in the JavaScript, it should only be in one place. Because the cart functionality is built in JavaScript, I decided, and also because the tutorials I saw had the product functionality in JavaScript, I decided, hey, let's just put it all in JavaScript. What I did though have to do is to get it to create portions of the page. So if you'll notice that from this video in comparison to the previous video, this section was actually dark gray because of the fact that the templated code had it there. Now you see there's actually images that don't load because ChatGPT generated the products array with the images file names, but of course there's no actual images that I have currently, so those are blank right now. And then I updated it to be a brown background, the same as the brown up here, so that it matches. I also added the cart link here, and so it doesn't do anything at the moment, but it will once everything is implemented. And then we also have the same placeholder here. Now, this whole card now, as well as the others, are being generated by JavaScript and not by the static site generator. And so that is listed here in this create product card method. And so as you see, it's creating each of the things here, and I need to actually clean this up, so I'll do that off camera. But it's creating each of those cards, adding the necessary classes, and then rendering that out. And then all of those cards are put inside of a product container, which if we come over to the source code, the product container is located a little bit further down right here on the row. So I have the row as basically the parent, and then everything that is inside of here is now being generated by JavaScript. I also, when testing this out, realized that if you refresh the page, and I'm still having an issue now where the cart goes back to 0, but it should remember the items in the cart simply by refreshing the page. But now if I click to buy now, it comes back to 3. And if I pull up the dev tools here and do a output of the variable cart, expand that out, and as you see, I have the 3 items in the cart. And then of course, if I span that out further, as you can see, I have a quantity of 3 hair clips inside of the cart. So the next step in this process will be to build out a modal that will display when clicked, so you can see the items in the cart. And then once that is done, it would then have a button to check out. That checkout button would then be able to utilize the Square API to create a order, and then the customer would then check out from Square and enter their payment information in on Square instead of through this website. Now, that PHP thing is a backend function that I haven't quite completed yet. I was looking at the Square API and I did get it to connect. When you testing out the Square API, it gives you a script to run based off the documentation here at developer.squareup.com. You could then take that in and go into the API Explorer and you can do this thing here. It will also, that is the website, will give you the PHP code to do various functionalities. You'll have to put in values here and then it will generate this, to which then you could take this, copy and paste it into the PHP script, or if you're using another programming languages, one of the ones that they have here, you can copy and paste that, and then you don't even have to write anything. You will have to do some setup, but you don't necessarily have to write anything. And then from there, you will be good to go. So the next step will be working on getting this cart to actually display the contents of the cart, and I'll probably move the links over to the right hand side of the page. I may move them to a different portion. I'm not 100% sure at this particular point in time. That being said, though, everything else is working and is going on schedule. The customer did provide some examples that I will be taking a look at and trying to mimic some of those examples. I would also like to point out that I modified and linked up some Google fonts for the website. So if you come back over here to the base in the header of the page, as you see, I have added these 3 things right here. So you have the Google APIs and their fonts, and in particular, I'm using the Dancing Script font. Now in the CSS, what I did was I came over, and so any of the H1 through H4 tags will use the Dancing Script font. I'll probably go ahead and add this to the H5 and H6 since I have pretty much everything else there. And we'll save that there, and as you see, it did reload. But yeah, so all of these headings now will use this cursive looking type of font, and then the non-headings will use basically a standard font that is defined there. I'll probably need to go ahead and define that in the CSS as well to make sure that it is consistent across all devices. That may or may not work as well as intended, but I want to at least have some consistency. So while I'm in here, let's just go ahead and do that. So do font family, and then we'll just do serif for now. I believe serif, maybe it's sans serif. No, I think it's sans serif. There we go. All right. Yeah, so serif, and then that will be definitely the same, but this type of text here will vary from computer to computer. Not that big of a deal. It will still render nonetheless. All right, so let's close the 404 because I don't need that anymore. So the next thing, as I mentioned, is to get the cart actually displaying content here as a modal. I will also be including a checkout button. So when you click on the cart, when you're ready to check out, the button will actually show up there as well for you to be able to check out, to which then that will send a request with all of the cart items to the Square backend, and the backend will be as part of this website as a PHP script. That backend will then send that information, make an API call over to Square to render things accordingly. Ideally though, I would like for Square to be able to complete the entire checkout process, or the customers to go to Square to complete the entire checkout process. That way I'm not responsible for any credit card or personal information that would have to be entered for the customer to complete the checkout process. All of that information would then be put onto Square's website and go from there. So that will be another video that, if you stay tuned to this particular series, you will see how that will play out. Thank you for watching this video. Comments or questions, feel free to drop them down below. As always, if you have not already, please be sure to subscribe and follow. And if you have, I thank you in advance for your support of this channel and this content. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.